Chapter 1. The Boy the Spire Forgot. Everyone in Thistlebrook Hollow agreed on exactly one thing about Awakening Day. You did not want to go last. Naturally, I went last. Not because the universe hates me specifically, though by the end of this chapter you're allowed to start suspecting that, but because the Spire calls children up by birth order within the month, and I had the audacity to be born on the 30th. Which meant I got to spend 4 hours watching 26 of my classmates become legends while I sat on a hay bale, slowly losing the feeling in my legs. Pim Hadley went up first and got Pim Hadley, Frost Duelist, uncommon rank, which made his mother cry the good kind of tears and made my mother grip my hand a little tighter, like she was already rehearsing for something. Bertie Crane got Storm Warden, common rank, which is the magical equivalent of being told you have a face for radio, but everyone clapped anyway because that's the rule. Sasha Vielle. And I want you to understand, I had been quietly, hopelessly in love with Sasha Vielle since we were 7, and she once shared her lunch with me without making it weird. Stepped onto the glyph, and the whole spire lit up gold like the sun had personally decided to get involved, and the light letters over her head spelled out Sasha Vale. Radiant Cleric, rare rank, and the entire town made a sound like a single enormous animal being pleasantly surprised. I clapped so hard I think I sprained something. I was thrilled for her. I was also doing rapid mental math on how many ranks below rare a boy would need to be before lunch sharing officially became completely unthinkable. And the number I landed on was conservatively all of them. By the time they called my name, the sun was going down, half the crowd had started on the meat pies, and I had successfully chewed through both my own confidence and most of a thumbnail. Arlo Penwick, said Magistrate Farrow in the tired voice of a man checking the last item off a very long list. I want to be clear that I walked up there with my chin high and my shoulders back, the way my dad taught me, the way every story says you're supposed to walk into your destiny. I tripped on the second step, caught myself, recovered with what I like to remember as wounded gazelle grace, and what witnesses later described, unhelpfully, as like a sack of turnips that had personally insulted gravity. Either way, I made it to the glyph. I stood on the glyph. I closed my eyes because everyone else closed their eyes, and I figured that was part of the ritual and not just everyone else being better at this than me. Nothing happened. I want to walk you through nothing happening because it happened slowly, and slow-motion catastrophe is somehow worse than the fast kind. First, silence. The good kind. The kind right before something wonderful. The kind I'd heard all afternoon, a half-second before. Gold light or blue light, or one memorable case of a boy named Tobble getting affinity. Compost? Common rank. And bursting into proud tears anyway because a rank's a rank. Then, more silence. The kind that starts curdling. Then, a cough, from somewhere near the meat pies. Then, Magistrate Farrow, very quietly to his assistant. Is the glyph broken? The glyph was not broken. I knew this with total certainty because I could feel it working. A strange tug behind my sternum, like something enormous on the other end of a very thin string, trying to figure out what to do with me. Then the light came. Not gold, like Sasha's. Not blue, not silver, not even the dull workman-like brown that Tobble got for his compost affinity. A thin, grayish, almost apologetic light, the color of dishwater, crawled up out of the glyph and hung in the air above my head, and out of it, letter by letter, in front of the entire town came the words, Arlo Penwick, hollow rank. I heard someone's mother gasp like she'd touched something cold. I should explain, for anyone lucky enough not to know, hollow rank isn't nothing. Nothing would almost have been better. Nothing is a mystery, and mysteries get follow-up questions. Hollow rank is a known thing. It happens on average to about one child in a generation, somewhere in the realm, and everyone has heard of it the way everyone has heard of a particular unlucky kind of weather. It means the spire found you, measured you, and concluded, formally, in writing, that you had less magical aptitude than the average turnip. There is no affinity at hollow rank. There is no class. There was just the word, hanging there, doing its small, devastating job. 300 people looked at me with the specific pity reserved for the one in a generation. Sasha, sweet, golden, rare rank Sasha, looked like she wanted to say something kind, which somehow made it worse. What none of them saw, what nobody in that entire crowd would ever see, not that day and not for a long time after, was the other thing that happened at exactly the same moment, in a place none of their eyes could reach. Because while Magistrate Pharaoh was clearing his throat to make the hollow rank official, and while my mother's hand was tightening around mine, something else opened up directly in front of my face, visible, as far as I could tell, only to me. A small rectangular panel, gray-blue, humming faintly like it was thinking very hard about something, covered top to bottom in tight, sharp little marks I had never seen in my life. Not old builder's script, which at least had the decency to look ancient and important. This looked new, recent, almost rude. I looked left. My mother wasn't looking at it. I looked at Pim. Pim wasn't looking at it either. Pim was looking at me, with the specific tenderness you save for a friend who's just been publicly declared less magical than a turnip. Nobody else could see it at all. "Can you read it?" my mother asked, mistaking my staring for shock at my own rank, which, to be fair, was also happening, just not for the reason she thought. I looked back at the panel. The mark sat there, glowing faintly, smug in a way that text really should not be capable of being. "No," I admitted, which was true on two separate levels she had no idea she was asking about. Somewhere in the crowd, somebody's cow chose that exact moment to make a long, low, deeply unimpressed noise, and I have never in my life related to an animal more. They didn't cancel the festival. Velmaran small towns do not cancel festivals. We have buried entire harvests under festivals before, and we will do it again. But the energy changed. The way it changes when a wedding speech goes on 4 minutes too long and everyone starts looking at the cake instead of the bride. I sat back down on my hay bale. The little gray panel, because apparently it just came with me now, hovering a polite foot above my head like the world's worst hat, seen by absolutely no one but me, drifted along obediently and resumed its quiet, smug humming. Pim sat down next to me first, because Pim has been my best friend since we were both small enough to fit in the same washtub, and some loyalties survive even public magical humiliation. "So," Pim said, very carefully in the voice people use around something fragile. "Frost Duelist, uncommon here. You got hollow." "I prefer to think of it as a rank the Spire hasn't invented a good name for yet," I said. "Something exclusive. Limited release. You'll all be jealous in 10 years. You cried during the silence part. That was emotion. That's a human affinity. Extremely rare." He laughed. A real laugh, which helped more than he'll ever know. And that's the part of this story I want you to hold on to, before everything gets significantly stranger. For one whole evening, the worst thing that had happened to me was a panel of unreadable text and 300 witnesses to my failure. I genuinely thought that was going to be the worst part. I had, it turns out, an absolutely staggering amount left to learn about how wrong I could be. Above my head, unnoticed by everyone still finishing their meat pies, the little gray panel flickered once, like it was clearing its throat, and quietly rearranged itself into something new. I wouldn't find out what it said for another 6 hours, several panics, and one extremely ill-advised attempt to shake it off me like a wasp.